I saw this film in Toronto a few months ago and loved it, but it does not feel like a first-time director and an actor. This is only your second role and your first
Yeah,
big.
this is my first lead, so it's,
This feels like a movie done by people who know what they're doing. I mean, how did you do it?
we did know what we were doing.
Well, tell us a little bit about your character and why you wanted to play her.
So I wanted to play her because she's awesome. I don't think that she's bad at all. She's an incredible character for any actor to play, and just reading the script, it was so obvious that I needed to give it a good go because she's incredible. I think the main thing that really attracted me was I loved how you loved her. And even reading on the page, that's the one thing that you do. You love her and you want her to succeed, and that's such a powerful thing to have. So that was the main thing that really drew me to the script and the film.
So she's a young woman who is basically put into an arranged marriage. What exactly is the time period?
It's 1865, which is the time in which Leskov wrote the book. So we kept it in that period, and then just moved it to the northeast of England.
Basically, she's living in a very repressive household run by a domineering father-in-law who does not approve of her. What did it take to get yourself in the mindset of a woman from that era?
Well, the one thing that was brilliant about the script was it didn't feel like a period piece. Like, yes, there were lots of scenes where she's getting into corsets and she's walking aimlessly around a house with nothing to do. And obviously we don't do that now. But most of the conversations and most of the interactions feel quite modern in how, we are today. And that's also an interesting part of the film. The one thing that I knew I needed to focus on mainly was how she positions herself, how you hold yourself. You can't have a rounded back at all. And obviously when I got into that costume, no matter what prep you've done, you move the way that you move. You can't do anything out of the ordinary. So that was a massive eye-opener. It knowledgeable to know, but also what the women had to live like. Yeah. You also get tired in them. Like it's very, you lose energy quite quickly because everything is just so squished, and that then made so much sense to the script. She's just like looks so zombied throughout lots of it.
It does not feel really like a period piece. I mean, it feels very immediate. But as the director, were you conscious of not wanting to film it in a certain way, or trying to convey that immediacy?
Absolutely. I mean, I grew up on period drama. I mean, I think really British people feel it's in their DNA. We seem to watch a new period drama every Sunday night. It's sort of the thing you sort of settle down to with a cup of tea and get cosy. But there's also a version which is going to challenge you, and that's the one that I was interested in and that we wanted to make. And there are various ways of sort of contemporizing or sort of refreshing the genre. I mean, we never had that sort of grand ambition, but it just so happened that the film we wanted to make sort of has done that. If people say this feels like a radical film, it just happens to be set in the past. And I think it's to do with the writing. I think what Alice has written, and I think the way in which we found the performances together, and the way it's been cut. And actually, Nick Emerson, who was our editor, starred up the prison drama. So bringing a sort of modern that sort of energy into the edit has helped to refresh it slightly. But then you keep the costumes as they were. So the costume designer, that they stitched these by hand in the way they would have been stitched at the time, and they even used original 19th century dresses which they had found in Paris. So you were wearing dresses from 1850, weren't you?
I even had a dancing scene in it which didn't make the film, and the whole back was just ripping every time I jumped. It was like, oh God, I'm ripping someone's dress.
Florence, your character not only violates sort of the mores of the time. I mean, she does some stuff that's pretty shocking. I mean, her husband leaves. She gets into a physical relationship with a hand on the estate that initially almost feels like a sexual assault. Yeah. I mean, were you aware of how transgressive what she did was both for that time and even for now?
I mean, yeah, even for now as well. It's what she's doing is hugely dangerous, especially because she's in this household. It's not really her house. She's married into it. And I think for me, that's where her mind changes, is when she decides to enjoy a little bit, and the fact that what she's enjoying is completely against anything that you're supposed to be doing. And
Yeah, I mean, what she's asking for is not much. I mean, she asks to be allowed to walk outside the house. You know, it's an arranged marriage. She's part of a contract. On her wedding night, she's told you have to stay inside and not leave. Stay inside and read your prayer book. That wasn't the deal. I mean, that's really what happens. You know, that's the setup. And I think that actually, under that sort of pressure, you know, people do behave in a certain way. I mean, we don't necessarily condone her actions, but we can understand why she does it. And isn't it fantastic to watch such sort of compelling characters, even if you disagree with what she does?
But
know?
Also, she, like, you know, the whole affair that she does have with Sebastian, I think that comes from a natural place. I think she craves either attention or affection, both of them combined, and love. You know, she actually hasn't been touched by anyone but Anna until that point in the film, and that was the one thing that maybe she thought she could enjoy about a marriage, was to be loved, and, you know, all of that. So I think her movement to Sebastian isn't it didn't feel seedy. It felt quite natural.